The Trump administration's controversial deportation of hundreds of immigrants to El Salvador has ignited a complex legal and diplomatic situation, centered around the unprecedented modern use of an 18th-century wartime law. This dramatic development highlights significant questions about executive power, immigration enforcement, and international cooperation in handling migration issues. The situation unfolded when U.S. District Judge James E. Boasberg issued an order to temporarily block these deportations. However, at the time of the ruling, 2 planes carrying immigrants were already in flight, one headed to El Salvador and another to Honduras. Although Judge Boasberg verbally instructed the planes to turn around, this crucial directive wasn't included in his written order, leading to the continuation of the flights to their intended destinations. The deportations were executed under the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, a rarely used law that has only been invoked 3 times in U.S. history, during World Wars I and II and the War of 1812. This law requires a presidential declaration of war and grants extraordinary powers to detain or remove foreigners who would otherwise have protections under immigration or criminal laws. The last time this act was employed was during World War II to justify the detention of Japanese American civilians, a historical precedent that adds weight to the current controversy. El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele, who has aligned himself with Trump's policies, agreed to house approximately 300 immigrants in his country's prisons for a year, with a price tag of $6 million. Bukele's response to the situation was notably casual and potentially provocative, posting "Oopsie Too" late on social media platform X, a message that was later recirculated by White House Communications Director Stephen Chung, suggesting a coordinated response to the judicial intervention. Secretary of State Marco Rubio provided specific details about the operation, stating that over 250 alien enemy members of Tren de Aragua had been transferred to El Salvador's prisons. He emphasized that the arrangement would save our taxpayer dollars while utilizing El Salvador's very good jails at a fair price. However, the administration has failed to provide evidence that the deported individuals are actually members of this gang or that they committed any crimes in the United States. The gang at the center of this controversy, Tren de Aragua, has a complex history. It originated in a notorious prison in Venezuela's Aragua state and expanded its influence during the mass exodus of Venezuelans fleeing their country's economic collapse. The Trump administration has used the gang's existence to paint what critics call misleading pictures of community safety issues, despite limited evidence of widespread gang activity. El Salvador's handling of the deportees was documented in government-released footage that showed the extensive security measures in place. The video captured men in shackles being processed into the Secote facility, known for its strict protocols. The footage detailed the systematic processing of the deportees, their transport under heavy security, the shaving of their heads, and their placement in cells wearing standard white prison uniforms consisting of knee-length shorts, t-shirts, socks, and rubber clogs. The legal community's response has been swift and critical. Georgetown University law professor Steve Vladek noted that while Boasberg's verbal instruction to turn the planes around wasn't technically part of his final order, the administration's actions clearly violated the spirit of the ruling. This situation, Vladek suggested, would likely lead future courts to be hyper-specific in their orders and not give the government any wiggle room. The ACLU, which filed the lawsuit leading to Boasberg's temporary restraining order, is actively investigating whether the removals to El Salvador constituted a violation of the court's order. The organization's lead lawyer, Legal Alert, has requested assurances from the government regarding compliance with the court order while conducting their own investigation into the matter. The Venezuelan government has issued a strong condemnation of the act's use, drawing parallel to the darkest episodes in human history, from slavery to the horror of the Nazi concentration camps. This international dimension adds another layer of complexity to an already contentious situation. Immigration lawyers noticed unusual movements of Venezuelan detainees late Friday, when Trump actually signed the proclamation, though it wasn't announced until Saturday afternoon. This timing has raised questions about transparency and due process. Human rights advocates, including Adam Isaacson of the Washington Office for Latin America, have warned that this could lead to arbitrary removals of Venezuelan citizens under the mere pretext of gang membership, without proper verification or due process. The temporary restraining order issued by Judge Boasberg will remain in effect for up to 14 days, during which time the immigrants will remain in federal custody. A hearing is scheduled for Friday to hear additional arguments in the case. The judge emphasized the urgency of acting quickly, noting that once individuals are deported, the court's ability to intervene becomes severely limited. The litigation that led to the hold on deportations was filed on behalf of 5 Venezuelans held in Texas who expressed concerns about being falsely accused of gang membership. Their lawyers argued that once the act is invoked, Trump could potentially declare anyone a Tren de Aragua member and remove them from the country without proper legal recourse. This unprecedented use of a 225-year-old wartime law in the context of modern immigration enforcement has created a legal precedent that could have far-reaching implications for presidential authority and immigration policy in the United States. The situation continues to develop as legal challenges proceed and international attention remains focused on the outcome of this controversial enforcement action.